Hello viewers, I want to inform you all that the construction of Anambra Misuse Industrial City has commenced fully, located in Oboji, Norumba South Local Government Area of Anambra State. Also, the Aerotropolis, located in Dikelionu, in Norumba North, has commenced fully. The airport terminal and the runway has been awarded. The terminal is being handled by ZCC, the Chinese construction company that constructed ICC, AgriLake, Solution Fund City, and so many others. Also, the industrial city and Aerotropolis has been designated as free trade zone. Hear what the governor said during the media chats.
What they have experienced, and what they are experiencing, and coming back to your point about this dual carriage, we're doing about 200 and something of them. You just went to that one, you didn't even end. Maybe you stopped at Ekulobi at the flyover and came back. It continued. It's a federal road until the boundary with Imo State. Now there's one from Agolo, that goes all the way to Newi, and then from Newi through Ozobolo down to Okija, hits the Onisha Owerri Expressway. The same Ekulobia where you were, there's one from there hitting Nobi to Newi again, and then from there hitting to Ufuma Junction, and so on to our Aerotropolis and the case may be. Land banks and design where will be the future, the new cities of the future, new industrial cities of the future. Secure them today, because in 10 years' time they won't be available. Now, and one of them happens to be these 4 major places now. We have the new Niger City, next to Onitsha. We have the Anambra Mixed Industrial City, and the Aerotropolis around it, next to it, which, by the way, the industrial city and the Aerotropolis have just been approved by the president as an economic free trade zone area. Just the approval came last month. Now you have the OCA 2.0, the next OCA, as it were, and of course our innovation district. For example, in the new industrial city, we're already the new power substation there, 33 kVA substation, will be energized very soon, probably, if not by the end of this month, certainly next month. And you will see the huge interest. In fact, by the time we finish processing the applications, because the place is only about 6,000, a little over 6,000 hectares of land, we're already now finishing the acquisition of another 2,000 hectares. That will be the agro-industrial city down there. Already, there are some investors who are coming with their Chinese counterparts. They're looking for at least 500 hectares to build their own industrial park, special industrial park, as it were. So, what is the summary in response to that bit about the response so far? I will tell you it's been huge. In fact, the value of properties in and around Anambra, have gone up at least some places more than 500, 1,000 or so percent. Because, of course, like I said, we have the second smallest landmass after Lagos. The pressure now is massive in terms of the demand for spaces. And the second part of your question relates to Agone Chamber.
Yes,
Agone Chamber. Now, you see, first and foremost, we've made it very clear, and on several times I've had to speak to this point, that criminality or misdemeanor of any sort will not be tolerated. And several times we've had to discipline some of them, as it were, who are getting too exuberant and too overreaching and reacting in the ways that we wouldn't. There was one time when they beat up a youth copper here, and we'll send a clear message that this is not. We can't be chasing criminals and then you act to chase criminals, you then act in a criminal way. No. We've had trainings for them, issued code of conducts, and so on and so forth. And we make it clear we can't tolerate this, whether by the formal institutions or by the informal institutions. In fact, last week, there was a case, not just the Agone Chamber, there was a report, a video, a lady, that's how the police, the mounted checkpoint at some place, grabbed the husband, put him in a vehicle and kept taking him around until they forced him to transfer money to the account, POS, and so on and so forth. That is now under investigation. And I've told the CP, we're going to take this up and take it up at the highest level. Those people must not remain in the police force. Not just being in Anambra, they are criminals. You can't. So, for us, you can't have this, nobody should be tolerated. But we must also understand, which is the context of this, is that, when you come in a state of chaos, absolute chaos, leave off the issue of the youth copper and the other ones that are clear, proven cases of extreme excesses. But you also find that many of these people that we had to chase to kick off these 62 criminal camps had sometimes required people, these people and security forces, both formal and Agone Chamber, the state, the federal and the Agone Chamber, having to take, if you like, extraordinary measures. Because you're not dealing with normal people who will grab, kidnap people and, behead them and so on. Then when you get them, you catch them and you have to serve them tea and coffee. That's right. In the morning.
Adhere to the rules and
I know, you have to adhere to that, but let me say to you also, see, I would never be one to rule of law is our mantra. Rule of law is our mantra. And in many cases, to the extent that it is possible, because I have been on the line of fire, so I know and I see what it is and what these people are going through to keep us safe and the kind of people they are dealing with. It's quite easy, to romanticize about it. Oh, you should treat them that way. Very good. Many cases, I will tell you, when you find some extraordinary situations, we have a saying here that when they are naked, the bird, I think it's in Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, our proverb here, learns to fly. The bird learns to fly without perching. The hunter learns to shoot without aiming.
Governor, I asked you about state police.
Yes, state police. So, for me, I am a proponent. Anambra is one of those states that signed, and one of the states, the support of Mr. President's view that there should be state police. Here in Anambra, our own Agone Chamber, we're not just at the state level. We have 3 layers. We have the state, and we have the local government, and we have the community already. It's impossible. It's just a no-brainer to think that you can police the entire country from Abuja. It's a joke. So, for us, albeit this thing has to be, the details have to be worked out, and if you devolve in that, then the consequential conversation about the revenue allocation formula will have to follow. Because in designing our Constitution, they put up the issue of policing, the army, the security forces in the exclusive list. And the sharing of revenue was also structured mimicking that. The federal government gets about approximately 53% of the federation account, on account of the fact that it has to deal with all of those. Now, if we have to devolve some of those down, the states only get about 26%. And so if you share it among the 36 states, on the average, nobody gets up to 1%. That's 1% to 53, as a case, less than 1% to 53 per state. So if you devolve in that, there would also be the issue, a very structured conversation about the revenue, resources, and financing. But I am a strong proponent of state police, and we signed, Anambra signed onto it. We need to have that. Our Agona Chamber reflects that reality, that even we can't secure the entire Anambra from Oka here. It's not possible.
To stay on that point, so if you're saying if some of that responsibility that makes the bulk of our revenue go to the federal has to come to the state, then you're advocating right now for a reversed or a change in our revenue sharing formula.
It will have to be reviewed.
So what figures would you be comfortable with for state police to work?
It's not, you're very, very smart. You want to put me here?
He wants an headline.
Yes, she wants a headline. Soludo said, this number will go to this. No, it's not, see, many of these things that were arrived at, 53, 26, 22, or 21, or whatever, local government, how they arrived at them, I have no idea how we arrived at them in the first instance. But it is something that we need to have a focused conversation on. Whether we need to, and part of the thing I have argued in my previous life, not being governor of a state, I've argued that you really need an inverted, almost like currently you have an inverted pyramid in terms of the revenue distribution. The inverted pyramid is that is heavy at the top and almost like we are in a unitary state, as it were. That if you want it to happen, and we really want the fast transformation of this country, it should be a real pyramid. With the base, getting the most of the resources, and then getting a very lean but focused and efficient center. Because the development happens at the base.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we need to go for a break.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Governor, let's talk about your crackdown on native doctors, which has been baptized with the name Oso Soludo. And not too long ago, one of them was sentenced, to prison. But some feel, or some see it as religion persecution. And others feel it's actually a target on traditional religion. Now, how would you react to this?
Okay, Governor, before you respond to that, I'm told that we have to take another short break. So
You guys are taking too many commercials.
so we go on
It is
break.
your commercial.
Oh, is it mine?
Yes,
Then do it.
Welcome back to the Media Chat, coming to you live from Government House, Oka Media Chat with Professor Chukwumas Soludo, CFR, Governor of Anambra State, who is having the second term now in office. Governor, before we went on that break, Sandra here had asked you a question. Now you can respond to her.
Yeah, they call it also Soludo. That's Soludo's run, and that's the run by the native doctors, the criminal native doctors. They were all on the run because, and then your question was whether it was something against traditional religion and all of that, and so on and so forth. We've made this very clear over and over that we understand the traditional religion. And we also understand the difference between the traditional religion and criminal idolatry. And we support freedom of worship, freedom of religion. Anybody worship the way you want, worship the way, provided you realize that your own right ends where the other person's own starts. And where your own practices and preachings now breed criminality, that's where we come in. Is the nexus with criminality, that's where we come. The traditional, traditional religion is quite, my little knowledge of it is a purist religion. These are the people who, in those days, before even the adjudicate on matters of land, they pull off their shoes and be stepping on the soil and say that if they ever lie or whatever that the land was going to, they were very pure. You don't live and let live and all those principles. But now, no, we've come down to the new era where these people are promising guys, those doing drugs, peddling, no, you come, I will do okite for you. And these are things, concoctions they prepare, sometimes involving human parts, involving all manner of things. Young children are disappearing, especially little girls, because they need a virgin and all of that to do one juju or the other and so on and so forth. Now, these things, okay, you get to prison yards all over the world, you'll find thousands of our youths languishing in those places because somebody had deceived them and prepared juju for them. That once you have it, he's done it for you, you can carry drugs inside of you, and when you get out there, the scanning machines will go blind. And they're being caught and put in prison, and they're filled all over the place. Now, all that will do this and prepare the charm for you so that if they shoot you, you won't get, and they go into kidnapping and go into all manner of criminality all over the place. And then you advertise this. Gloat about it, that even telling people that if in your 20s you are not yet a millionaire, you are useless, one, and so on. How do you get there without working?
It's not only traditional people that do that. You
Wait
find that
now.
in churches,
Wait.
you find that in other places as
Okay,
well.
now we're
Are you going to move this advocacy into churches as well, or mosques and whatnot?
Wait now, wait, I think, I know you will get there. I know you will get to that place. We are systematically getting this message across. Indeed, when you come from Arise, I had written a back page when I was writing the back page of this day about this. And there I ended up by asking that our pastors and the imams should help us. Where you go to preach to people that it's only when you do miracle will fall and you become wealthy. I do this, and you give testimony that if everybody starts sharing bank accounts and getting who will work? And I did end that speech by saying that pastors and imams must help because they are now propagating a new philosophy, ideology that is inconsistent with how any society in the world has developed. You must get onto the issue of hard work. You must promote here in Anambra. Our people are known for two things, enterprise and integrity. So the practices, we're taking one step at the other, but we're also sending this message across, even to the churches and saying, we must begin to address this. And I can tell you, even by self-censorship, people are now beginning to take this, and you see the social media, the citizens themselves are taking it up. Because they now see all this fakeness all over the place, people promising you obscene wealth without work. So, once we had our Anambra, the Homeland Security Law, that now criminalizes this. By the way, one of the persons in custody now that is being tried says it's Onyeze Jesus. How do you translate that in English? He's the king or whatever thing of Jesus. And he's doing it in the name of
one of Jesus's kings.
One of Jesus's kings. And now you got it. Okay? So, and using this to defraud people. He's now undergoing trial. Because he takes people to the streams and be doing all manner of stuff. And by the way, criminalize all that as well. If you are doing your stuff, worship the way you can, but you don't go to pollute the stream that all of us own. People are going to drink water from. You go and do all your whatever thing you mix together. You go to the stream and pour it. Someone, one pole down the road, has come to fetch water to drink. And they're fetching it and drinking. No. It tells me it's in the name of religion.
Mr. Governor.
Not in Anambra.
You're saying it's not limited to a particular religion, and we get that. I just want to quickly follow up on the ATDS vision, because we've heard you say these transformations aren't optional, that they are imperative. There are genuine concerns, though, about the human cost, of that transition. An example is your attempt at remodeling the Onitsha main market, right? Your critics say demolishing thousands of shops would mean thousands of families stranded. Plus, we've heard some say that the demolition went on despite a pending court order that restrains such action. How do you balance long-term urban transformation with the immediate economic survival of thousands of small business owners? And can you guarantee your people tonight that no trader is permanently displaced without an alternative?
Thank you very much. Very delicate balancing act. We need to, what you're asking is how is it possible how we're going to make sumptuous omelets provided that no egg is broken. That's basically what your question is. So
what a way to put
now, a very sumptuous meal. We're gonna have this delicacy of omelets, provided we don't hurt the innocent egg, as it were. Delicate, and that's why we've been very measured. Our very first steps is actually to seek for alternatives, create alternatives. There in our nation, we have a place where we call Oduibo, where we've built, but we're still expanding it, where there's artisans, there's people selling pepper and so on along, where they're going to clear the roads and put them into the place. At Ekulobia, where you were today, we had this alternative.
Yeah,
for Nisha, the park and market.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to clear everybody there, to get to the place, get them out of the road. For the main market, for example, if Nisha is to get back to its pride of place as a commercial logistics hub, main market, which we call Anambra's address, must have to work. And so when I came in, 2023, we actually had a world-class architect of Anam. It comes from Anambra too. He designed a new main market. That would have required demolishing the entire place and rebuilding a fresh one. And to be done in 4 phases. But each one of them required also thousands, tens of thousands of shops to go. I traveled to the place myself. I stood there for more than 2 hours, walking around, trying to find options. Where are you going to put them to before you get on to work with this, to demolish the entire thing, as it were. Little or no space. But then there is the criminal element to it, which is the illegality of it. And this thing must stop in this country, where you have a master plan. No society has developed that way. You go to Europe, you go to America, people get out there, and we are marveled.
You have to blame previous governments.
That's what a part of what, and part of the message we're sending now. In fact, a draft bill going to the State Assembly, by the time we finalize it, it will get there. And that is going to get even public officials culpable, even if you sign anything, even on retirement, and it is found that you signed, approved something that you shouldn't have. We'll bring you out of retirement and you'll go to jail. Okay? So, we must, this place is not an animal kingdom, okay? You go to London, people go to Hyde Park. It's preserved for common good. Hundreds of years is there. If it's this part of the place, somebody will come disown it and say, can't you find such a prime land in a good location? And it is being wasted. We'll go and build shops and houses there. No! So, the main market, the biggest market in West Africa, they designed it with 3 big parks where vehicles used to come from all over West Africa. They would park and shop. You know what? Systematically over the years, they built up every inch of land there, built shops that the keke napep will not be able to drive to the place. I was asking one senior official, I don't want to mention him, in government, who has one of the branches of, lives at GRA. And I asked him, when last did you go to main market? He said it's over 15 years. Nobody goes there. It's dead. People are selling off the place, moving over to Asaba, moving over to other places, and so on and so forth. Because if you can park, you can shop. So the irreducible minimum we've now come down to is, okay, demolishing the entire place and rebuilding afresh was going to be a humongous cost. So we're sensitive. But this place that you have gone on to build illegally here, there must be a time must come when there must be accountability. And part of the message we're also sending to our people, and it's not us even saying it, it is them putting it on voice notes. They're circulating on various platforms and saying one thing they are learning is that listening before you go to take this thing, because the attitude is give it to me, I will build it. Then when they come, it's a matter of money. We'll sort it out. There will be a government that will come, that will not negotiate with you, that will insist that the right thing must be done. And so what we've done now is to say, listen, it's an agenda with a clear deadline. And we must address illegality and so on and so forth. Our empathy, we sympathize with those, especially those of them who went there ignorantly. But the people went and built up the place, okay? We must send this message very clearly. If you build on it, like those, when I assumed of it, those who built on waterways, that when it rained, the entire Onitsha was flooded. Before I came, 3 years earlier, 3 staff of UBA, young people, were drowned when it rained, because there was nowhere, water couldn't even get to the River Niger again. You know, because they built up on the waterways and so on. I said, no, even a church was there. We got to bring them down. So, this omelette of a thing that we need to make, unfortunately, might have some unintended, it's not that we enjoy it, but you know, the lives of 9-10 million people of Anambra, residents of Anambra, happen to be more important to us than the few hundreds who may be hot now. Empathize. If we find alternative place, they will have the first right of refusal. But our agenda now is our option B, which is to breed back life into the place. Now about court order or whatever, I'm not aware of. Court order was shown that later on that there was some other restraining governor and whatever. But I said that's not governor. The local government. You are caught this thing. You are arguing that it is the local government that has the power to do it. And the local government issued was the one that issued the notices and told the people.
You found a way around it.
Huh?
I said you found a way around it.
I didn't find my way around it. They actually argued that it was the responsibility of the local government, and the local government did it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm not involved.
On the issue of this omelette that we're making, there is a toga on Anambra State that's not very complimentary. The Gully capital of Africa, the Gully erosion capital of Africa. And it's, when you're driving in from the airport, even while you're looking at the dualization that is going on from Chinua Achebe Airport, you're also looking around and seeing that the gullies that are around. What can you do about it? You've had 4 years. What have you done in those 4 years to remove this embarrassing toga that Anambra has carried? And is it possible for you to sort this out in the next 4 years?
The answer is a very sobering reality. From a Gully erosion point of view, Anambra State is a national emergency. Not a thing, even if we spend the entire resources of Anambra times 10, it's far beyond the capacity of Anambra State government. Far beyond.
Far beyond the ecological fund?
Except, in fact, you might need to pour in the ecological fund of the federal, the entire federal thing, maybe a few multiples of it to be able to deal with it. Because there are whole communities, local governments, about 30% of our land happen to be under threat. In fact, the community of the former vice president, the late vice president, Lex Ekweme, is under imminent threat. So far, we've spent tens of billions of state funds trying to deal with this, and recovered over 12,000 hectares of land. We have done, including federal. In fact, in some places, federal highways have, collapsed and, cut off. We had to go on an emergency basis to rescue them. But like I said, it's something we are very intentional. Even today, I had a conversation about it. About some of the places, that community, Lex Ekweme's community, which is under imminent threat with the next rainy season. We don't know how many, maybe a whole village will go down, and so on and so forth. And we're spending tens of billions. If we were to devote our entire 2-year annual budget to erosion control alone, we'll still only touch it peripherally. But we're doing a whole lot as well. Culture change, behavioral change, getting people, we have a fat law on environment, because environment is our #1 existential threat. Getting people to change the way they behave. Even runoff water, you don't let the runoff water from your house leave your compound. You have to dig, catchment pits for it to stay there, because as they come out, they got to end somewhere. Our soil mostly is porous, sandy, so it creates gully erosion right away. So it requires civic campaigns for behavioral change. It requires deliberate enforcement actions. It requires spending to recover those that are collapsing. If you see the kind of, I think the next time you come, we'll take you through some of our erosion control projects. Huge projects. And but like I said, the Anambra Gully erosion problem is a national emergency.
You are close to Mr. President. Are you getting the attention needed from the federal government?
Well, I will not discuss with you what I discussed with Mr. President. Leave that one. I think in the fullness of time, we'll give you a report card on that.
All right.
You've talked about funding.
Yes.
About how you've spent so much money. Okay, look at this environment, for example. The last time I was here, it was still under construction. We had the last media chat in
someplace in
that
Amobia.
looks like an old building. But now there's this state-of-the-art palatial, sprawling, almost like a whole town where the government house is. How much did you borrow on behalf of the people of Anambra to build this expansive edifice? And how many generations will it take for India
to pay back?
To be able to pay back?
Thank you very much. Two quick things, just to keep it simple. Since we arrived 4 years ago, we have not borrowed one kobo from any commercial bank, not owing anything. So that started. We wanted to make a statement of that. As a matter of fact, our mantra here is doing more with less. Extraordinary, extreme prudence is the thing that we, as I said in my inaugural address, I have some questions I ask in using the state funds. One of them is, if this is my hard-earned money, will I spend it this way? This is my hard-earned money, will I spend it this way? And this has been very, and this expenditure, if we gather the taxpayers in a room, would they be comfortable with it? So that's the issue of borrowing and whatever and so on. We have had to do massive re-engineering of finances, put back our finances on a path of sustainability. We even cleared backlog of arrears of gratuity that were owed to staff retirees from the state government and the local government for 4 years before I arrived, a cumulative of about 22 billion. We've paid all of those and still been able to deliver, like the infrastructure thing. No government in the history of this place has delivered that in 8 years. None. I mean, it's just clear. And in many sectors, health, education, and so on and so forth. It's just doing more, razor focused on making sure that we account for every penny. Now, the house itself is built to last because, you know, the White House, the American White House, will be 234 years this year. 234 years. And that's about the very first place you got to start. You must have a home for the government where you can even think. You can't be talking about Dubai, Taiwan, somewhere, and the government itself is in a makeshift house. You know where the government house was for 34 years? The government house was at the yard of the contractor that built Enugu Onitsha Road in the 80s, Giuliani or something, where they had their parking yard with prefabricated buildings. So when Anambra was created in 1991, they said, okay, let's start here temporarily. And where is the governor going to live? Oh, somewhere in Amobia, some temporary place. Let's stay here. And for 34 years, they got stuck there. Even this whole place that was designated initially to be the place to build it had been allocated over the years to private individuals. And many had developed them.
Wow.
Oh, yes, we had to relocate a whole lot of them and demolished quite massive number of them. Because we had to ask ourselves the question, if not now, when? If not us, who? Otherwise, Anambra would never, ever have a government house again and a governor's lodge. And we had to take that hard decision. And like I said, with an eye on the long term, that the next 100 years, the next 200 years, the next 300 years, generations unborn, governments will come and go, but you'll have a convenient place where government sits to transact business. It's on 28 hectares of land, literally a mini city within a city. Everything is here. And for me, I have 3 years, few months to live. And the next person comes, spends 8 years. Because I'm counting the days. I'm counting down already.
The old government house, because we went there today.
Yes.
So what's going to happen to that?
Oh, that place, that old government house plus all the surrounding area, it's about 13,000 plus place. is our new innovation district. That's our own Silicon Valley.
Oh.
You must have seen the first iconic building coming up there. It will be commissioned in some months to come. That whole area, many of those rickety buildings that they had as government house, were leveling them down. And some private investors are also indicating interest, to come in to build. That's going to be the heart of innovation, business incubation, and so on and so forth in this state. So, short answer. Not a couple of bottles.
Mr. Governor, you are a prof, and I guess, there's this attachment you have when it comes to education. Thoughts why we have free education in Anambra State. And you've recruited 8,115 new teachers. We have smart schools here in Anambra State, right? Now, looking at it, it's quite expensive, right? With Anambra's, limited resources, how do you think you would be able to manage it?
That's a very short question with a long answer, but let me try a short one. First point is that you can't spend too much on building human capital. You can never spend too much on building human capital. The Constitution of Nigeria, Chapter 2, on the directive principles of state policy, did prescribe for free education, free primary, free secondary, whenever it is possible. And people have been arguing for this to be justiciable. Unfortunately not. I know how I am an Awoist. I'm an admirer of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and his policies of free education, as well as led Dr. M.I. Okpara's policy here. We've distributed over 2.2 million palm seedlings to 480,000 households to empower them for life. But coming back to the issue of education, we thought that's the place we needed to make, and health, that's the place we needed to make fundamental investment. Empower the child. Give the child qualitative education from kindergarten through senior secondary school, and that child won't be the same. Coincidentally, I happen to be a beneficiary of that after the Civil War. We had a free primary education. We had a free secondary. Even the university was tuition free. I'm sure Ruben also had the same privilege. I don't know about you guys. We had our meals, 50 kobo and all of that, and subsidized.
Yes.
And that's here we are today. We're giving back. Can't quantify it. So the investment that we are making, we are deliberate. That was a time when the children of the rich and the poor attended the same school, taught by the same teachers. And if the children of the poor were brilliant, they had a chance of doing even better than the children of the rich. Not anymore. We're now creating two societies where the children of the rich attend the elite private schools and the children of the poor are condemned to poorly resourced public schools. We have two citizens, two civilizations. The haves and the gap keeps widening. What we decided intentionally as a progressive government was that we must equalize these opportunities. We must have an educational system where the poor has access to qualitative education, if not even better than the ones you find in primary. And that's why we prioritize recruitment of teachers, because there is no school without qualified teachers. And these 8,115 teachers which we recruited in our first 5,000 within 9 months and another within the next 6 months. We recruited them competitively across the country from 18 states of Nigeria. We want our Anambra child to be taught by the best teacher in the world, not by the incompetent one from his village. And so that's the first order of putting them there. Scaling up their skills, refurbishing the existing schools, turning some into smart schools, Enrollment in public schools now has gone up by approximately almost 50%, 48 point something percent, 49%. Gone up, and we're even going to recruit more. This is the foundation of our society. If we don't get people to have this access to qualitative education, we're revamping not just at the primary base, the secondary, and the tertiary as well, that the whole ecosystem. But I wouldn't let you into what we're doing at the tertiary for that. Anambra has the lowest out-of-school children at 2.9% in Nigeria of any state, so to speak. And our schools are back to winning ways. In terms of cost, therefore, we're not seeing the cost in terms of Naira and Kobo today. We see what we're spending as investment in the future. These people will come out to become the taxpayers for tomorrow. The African Dubai, Taiwan, there will be the workforce that will create the wealth of tomorrow. They will become taxpayers, they will become the workforce to create that prosperity that we're aspiring to. So it's a massive investment. But as I tell you as well, as we're enlarging that, we're also hoping our internally generated revenue is also expanding that. We have making quite investment in that regard. Even if we collect 1-2% of our GDP as internally generated revenue, we'll be able to fund significantly and even much, much more. So we believe it is sustainable. It's an investment in the future of the state. And like I said, you can never spend too much on building people.
On that note, Governor, we'll have to take
a break again.
He doesn't like breaks.
Okay. We'll just take a short break now. And then when we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Here chat with the governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, CFR, and we're broadcasting live from Government House here in Oka. And we're live on TV Continental, TVC, Channels Television, Arise News, and ABS Radio and TV.
Yeah.
Sandra, let me come back to you.
Okay, Mr. Governor, it's just a follow-up question on the smart schools. My question is, you know, smart schools, it has to do with electricity, stable electricity, and of course, the internet. Now, how or what are you doing to ensure that these schools have these things? Talking about the internet and, of course, steady electricity.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, it's a work in progress. They will have them. Let me add something. We didn't, like I said, we only touched a few things when we were discussing the infrastructure and the economic transformation. Part of the infrastructure that we've invested in here, we set a target of about 2,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables. And we've done about 600 and something kilometers of that. We're looking forward to that even being ratcheted up in the years ahead, and being able to have the last mile connections to these public spaces, public schools. We already have some public spaces with free access to free Wi-Fi. We've taken Wi-Fi to, there's access to free Wi-Fi to even some of our tertiary institutions, and we're extending them to our smart schools. Now, this is where even our smart schools and all our schools, we're actually aiming to provide them with alternative sources of power. And that's why we've ratcheted up operational expenses, the grants for operational expenses to these schools over time. Ultimately, and solar, of course, installing solar facilities in almost all of them. All our smart schools have solar, access to solar. And even our primary health centers as well. We're installing solar facilities in them so that if you don't have access to the regular one, that is, we're still grappling with electricity market in terms of getting grid, micro grid power supplies, as it were. But over time, solar is the immediate. But over the longer term, they'll have access to maybe gas-powered electricity supply and a hybrid with solar. Solar will remain much cheaper. I would dare to add that since we came, we've been able to replace more than 28,000 street light poles from using diesel and relying on regular electricity into solar. And another 6,000 new ones have been installed over the last, 35,000 or so of them over the last 4 years. So solar is a short term to it. Our fiber optic cables and the last mile connections. But in the short term, they are dealing with some kind of MiFis and so on and so forth in these schools. They're doing fine. And the schools are winning ways. Back again, our public schools are winning national champions. Out of the 15 awards by the President's Awards, Anambra schools won 9 of them last year. The best primary school in Nigeria now, said last year, happened to be an Anambra public school. The Minister of Education spoke to me about it. Was quite impressed about Anambra schools, and he even told me stories of what Anambra are doing in a special school in Abuja, there, Suleja or something. And then, yeah.
We're hoping that those accolades will move to primary healthcare as well.
Primary healthcare.
So,
okay.
Primary healthcare in Abuja. I said in Abuja.
Yeah.
Primary healthcare here in Anambra State. Can you proudly say that your primary healthcare facilities are meeting up with the standard that the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has set for what primary healthcare centers should be, which is to be able to do a delivery, to give birth to it, for a child to be born there safely in 24 hours? Can you say that about the primary healthcare centers in Anambra State?
Bold, yes. It's as if you know, Anambra, we won it back to back 2024-2025, we won the National Primary Healthcare Challenge as the Southeast Regional Champion and the National Champion regards to primary healthcare.
What did you do differently? How were you able to achieve that?
That's a short question with a long answer again.
Try to answer
but let me put it this way. And Anambra here, we've gone on each one of them in the bespoke manner. And just to answer your other question, whether they have delivery. You know, we have free antenatal, free delivery services in all public health institutions here in Anambra. And these deliveries with zero mortality. And we've had over 208,000 women who have benefited from this policy. And they are mostly at the primary healthcare system. Mostly at the primary healthcare. The first thing I did on coming into office, recruited over 1,300 medical personnel, doctors, pharmacists, nurses, and so on, and put them in all over 326 primary health centers. We've been refurbishing, I think about half of them now have been fully refurbished with all the facilities there, water, electricity, solar, equipment. Of course, all of them have got the personnel and the basics to operate. And we're still ratcheting up to make sure that all of them are of that same standard. But in terms of comparatively to anywhere in the country, that's why we were given this award. And these awards, the ones we won for 2 years, came with a cumulative cash award of 1.6 million US dollars, so to speak. So it's not just an award that somebody is not mouth. It's an award you win and you have real reward. So Anambra has been a leader when it comes to that. And I will tell you, when I was running for office as for governor, I ran in a very peculiar way. I didn't go the normal way. I went to the markets, entered there to see these men and women, particularly women selling, who would never come to political rallies. I just walk in to see them. And the feedback, thank you very much. My sister delivered last week. They didn't pay one dime. Thank you very much. I can now send my children to school and not be asked to pay a kobo. Thank you very much. And it's more, and then you see the people themselves outpouring with donations, with that. So some woman carried their banana, is selling, take, I dash you. This thing is the benefits that they're deriving. Is this education health thing? It tells me we still have a long way to go, because I would want to have literally every primary school and literally every health center in Anambra to be smart. Okay? Have the world-class infrastructure and personnel and so on and so forth, and will become the #1 destination in the area of health and education. But important foundations have been led and are being led, and we intend to sustain them and ratchet up very massively. And linking up not just the primary, secondary, and the tertiary. The health sector, we've built 5 brand new general hospitals, all of them in the North Senatorial Zone, the places that has the greatest need. I'm from the South Senatorial Zone, none in my zone. And refurbished about 4 others, about 9 of them now, new ones coming up. And of course, the others being put into place. And at the tertiary level, the world-class trauma center, getting our teaching hospitals to work better. And the new one that is upcoming, I won't tell you yet until it's done.
Mr. Governor, we now have about 15 more minutes to go. And I know you said you're not thinking politics until 2029. But there's a big election, there's a major election next year. On Tuesday, during your inaugural speech, I heard you call on Indigbos to play the pan-Nigerian politics for development. Your narrative is that in a democracy, no one gets what they deserve, but what they are able to bargain for. The bargaining chip here are the votes coming from the Southeast. But you also acknowledge that it will be nice, at least emotionally, to see someone with a red cap in Aso Rock. We saw that
someday.
Someday, yes.
Yeah.
We saw how that emotional appeal played out in 2023 when the region massively voted for someone carrying that potential. How's your message of pan-Nigerian politics resonating with the people in the region? Some of your brother governors have now moved to the APC. Are you going to join them? But the big question here is, with the hope of seeing a man with the red cap at the Aso Rock, how do you think they are receiving that message you gave on Tuesday?
Again, you ask a very short question that's very long, and you want me to say it in a soundbite. And you're trying to put me in trouble, actually. That's what you are. I won't let you do that. I will ask you to go and read my speech again in response. But it's a short one. I mean, you've summarized it well, and this is what I meant. I also said in that same speech that in 1998, I wrote an article in which I argued that it is possible to simultaneously have an Igbo man as the president, vice president, senate president, speaker, and yet the average Igbo man is not better off. I argued that. And I also argued, and I still stand by my position there, that these transient positions do not necessarily, and I asked all the communities around Igbo land, how those positions, we've held positions. 9 years after the Civil War, an Igbo man was vice president, an Igbo man was speaker of the House. In fact, the old Eastern region, somebody reminded me 2 days ago, the old Eastern region had the vice president, the speaker, the senate president, and even deputies and so on and so forth, the old Eastern region. The old Western region had little or nothing other than Ama Akinloye, who was party chairman, and a few such other things. Since this republic, we've had the Senate president, we've had this, we've had this. Well, how does that have changed the lives of any average person? I am for a systemic shift in Nigeria. I was the chairman of the Igbo, Haneze Ndi Igbo Committee for Policy and Strategy. Okay? And I read the Igbo position on restructuring Nigeria, which for us was the more fundamental thing. And even playing field, you could have a man with a red cap, a few persons who will be millionaires and billionaires, get oil blocks here and there and so on. We want a place where everybody can flourish. That the Igbo man with his infinite capacities and capabilities can flourish anywhere else. But like I said in my speech, yes, at least from an emotional point of view, someday. But for me, that's not fundamental. The fundamental thing is that we must build a Nigeria where everyone has equal stake. And I argued in terms of what that would mean and what I would like to see. In America, a Jew hasn't been president of America or whatever, but you can't get there without a Jew. So it's about the system. People are enterprising, they're entrepreneurial. They level the playing field. Will try. What we asked in that speech that you referenced, I said what we request for the fundamental level is that Nigeria, we must lobby that Nigeria lives out its promise to Ndibo, to the southeast, and to the eastern region after the Civil War for massive reconstruction. And I argue that that will take the form of the U.S. Marshall Plan to Europe after the Civil War, reconstruction. That has not happened, and that needs to happen. But that won't happen by staying outside and, operating as social critics and reading the Book of Lamentations. No, you got to be part of it.
Are you considering joining the APC?
Listen, it's not about joining the APC. I am of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. All Progressives Grand Alliance is the foremost political party in Nigeria with the progressives. The APC, by the way, has a faction of APGA in it at its founding, because it's also progressive, where we have a working relationship.
Progressives working together.
Progressives are working together.
So not anti-party.
I am, no. We are of a different party, but we're not in opposition. These are two different things.
What does that mean? I've heard you say this before. What does that mean? You're not in opposition, but you're with a different party, but you're working together.
Yes. If you get to Israel, you get to any other person, you have coalitions that govern. Okay? They still maintain their individual party identities, but they're a coalition that find common grounds.
Okay.
Our common grounds is progressivism.
Okay.
And so far as we are in that, at the national level, our policy is to support the party and the government at the center. That's our policy.
Okay, Governor.
Yes.
How do you communicate this to the ordinary people who are preparing for 2027 election? You've been quoted as saying you support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that when it is time for presidential election, you expect Anambra to vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But now that you have your second term, do you still feel obliged to campaign for?
No. It's not about. It's not even. It has nothing to do with my election. To be honest with you, I feel very deeply about it. I wrote my piece and my position, published November 2022. Immediately I came into office, and it's in the public domain. You know, I'm in politics, but I'm not that typical politician that speaks five sides of the mouth. I think through what it is, and I take a position, and that position is thought through and consistent. You see, at a personal level and at the party level, when I came in here, I've said at a personal level, yes, and there's no question. And I say it from the rooftops anywhere. President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is my friend, okay? And I believe he's done well, and he deserves a second term. I have no apologies about it. That's my position. Anybody can differ. But beyond that, there is the more fundamental thing, which is the interest of my people. It is about my people. They have to have a stake. They have a stake on the table. He would win, with or without us.
What of your party,
What?
Your Excellency?
What?
What of the candidate of your party, Abga?
No. We're not.
So you're saying Abga should not have...
No, we are not going to field one. We have announced it. In 2011, APGA did not field a presidential candidate. APGA fielded and adopted President Jonathan, then president, as its presidential candidate.
In Tinubu's case, how do you communicate that to the Southeast?
Good. Now that's
an issue.
Well, I don't know about. See, when you say the Southeast has an issue with them, it's an epoch, and this is where the hard work comes. Okay, our people are smart. Once they understand that it is in their own enlightened self-interest, okay, enlightened self-interest, that we need to get back to the politics of the Azikiwe, who taught us to build politics of alliances. It's not politics of protest. It's politics that build bridges in the First Republic, that build bridges in the Second Republic, and that as we go forward, Nigeria, for example, okay? Nigeria, you rotate the presidency between North and the South. After 8 years of Buhari, he came down to the South. So everybody contested. Now he's with the South.
Okay.
The next 4 years, I will be surprised if the North will vote for another Southerner who has potential to stay another 8 years to be there. No. Now, where we are is in our own enlightened self-interest. It's not just that he wins. We want him to win and that our votes count in his winning.
If I can chip in.
That strengthens our bargaining for, and I laid out the things that we require. I asked him when he came here for Anambra and Igbo land to be included in the national gas pipeline. He approved. I asked him that Anambra and Igbo land be included in the National Rail Master Plan. He agreed. I asked him that the federal government should dredge the Niger so that the river port in, at Onitsha can become, navigable, and barges can now come in there. I even requested for the road linking Anambra West down to Kogi, that in 3 hours you could go from here to Abuja, and he approved. Now we are calling on the agencies to make this happen. That is the strategic interest that we have to communicate to our people. That, as we say here, we say it in Igbo, Konkwa Jesse Alami, Kedubutia. You finish going all this war and battling and so on. I will not agree. I will not agree. 1 year,
the
10
communication
years,
will
15
be
years.
Yes, sir.
And what have you gotten? The war goes on.
It will be a complicated communication, because I'm wondering what happens back at home for members of your party who are interested in the National Assembly. Those who want with Labour Party are now with the ADC, and it's probably why people are saying, if you support APC at the national level, what happens to members of APGA who want to run next year?
No, don't worry about that. This is where the politics and the communication gets to. Don't worry, it's happened before. We've had it before in 2011. They voted for the president and so on. Even, let me give you an example. This last election, 2023, in all the constituencies, we voted massively because my brother here was running for president, voted 90-something%. We want him to be president, okay? The same day, you had the election for the House of Reps and the Senate. In the South, YPP won the Senate. All the members of the House of Reps there were all APGA. We came down here to the North, APGA. We came to and we won the State House of Assembly landslide. The same election. So don't we would engage our people. Like I said, our people are very smart people. Once they understand their interest, their strategic interest, they will know that it is not in their interest to keep wasting their votes and being outside complaining.
We're running out of time, Mr. Governor.
Unfortunately, we seem to have run. No,
Please, it's a quick one, please. It's
okay,
important.
maybe you want to give
one sentence.
Mr. Governor, you are a 3-time governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, 2-time governor of Anambra State. Now, what other nomenclature should we expect after this tenure?
Retired governor.
Anyway, on that note, Governor, we would like to thank you. But, if you may just, address people at home, the Anambra generally, even if it is to thank them or wish them a happy celebration. As we begin to.
No, thank you very
seconds.
much. I want to thank you and the Anambra. You're just quite very special people, amazing people. Smart, very smartest people ever. And I've said the largest concentration of billionaires and millionaires per square kilometer anywhere in Africa. We have a homeland to build. And we've begun a journey together. You've shown that during the election, returned us with unprecedented number of votes, both in terms of number and percentage, that it was almost like a unanimous endorsement. Let's go together.
Okay.
Let's get this prosperous, livable homeland. If we set our mind to it, there is no limit to what Anambra can be in a few decades to come. It will be that destination that everybody will want to get to. Love you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, CFR. And thank you, Kela Negwa from Channels Television. Thank you, Nefemi Oguntoye from TVC, TV Continent.
You want to put me in trouble.
Thank you, Sandra Apa from ABS Television. I'm Ruben Abati from Arise News. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.